Hey guys! Sorry. Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 4 of 5 of my story of how I found my life purpose. Quick recap of last week's video. Sometime junior year of high school, I fell into the deep end. I was stuck there for about a year until my brother passed away. He motivated me to be better. He motivated me to be a better student, a better daughter, and just an overall better human being. That lasted for 2.5 years. Not to say that I turned back into a shitty human being, but because I never properly dealt with the first time falling into the deep end, it eventually came back after I did all the things I wanted to do, which is do one school, transfer to USC, and cross the business fraternity that I wanted to cross. The reason why I think I dealt with my brother's loss so well was because I completely blocked myself off from any and all feelings. I was like this desensitized, emotionless blob robot that's just kind of roaming around and doing what I think I needed to do. And it was only recently where I realized when you deprive yourself of one feeling, and for me that was feeling sad, you're actually depriving yourself of all feelings. Looking back, that's so true. Like I said in last week's video, I was just okay. I wasn't happy because I couldn't feel happy, because I couldn't feel anything. So this is where we left off last week. 4 years after my brother passed away, my fraternity brother passed away, and it just paralleled so much of my brother's death. And when this happened, I tried to do what I did when my brother passed away, which is completely block everything out. I blocked off all feelings, I blocked off all emotions, and it worked. It worked for about 2 weeks. One of my professors recommended me try this free writing assignment where I just set an alarm for 20 minutes and just write what's on top of my head. Top of my head? This writing assignment was when I realized and when I decided for myself that, hey Rowena, it's not healthy for you to not feel. It's not healthy for you to deprive yourself of feelings. In that moment, I told myself, all right, for the next month or 2 months or 3 months or half a year or for 1 year, however long it's gonna take, you're gonna let yourself feel. You're gonna give yourself permission to feel, and you're gonna take this time to really make peace with and to really try to get over the pain and the hurt that you've been putting off for so long. Because you'll be a better person after, and because you know it'll only be temporary, and because, like I just said, you will be a much better, stronger, real person after you go through this. And I knew then it's gonna be shitty. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really, really bad. You guys will see it does get really bad. But I knew in my heart that it was only gonna be temporary, and it was only gonna be a matter of time before I start to crawl myself out of the deep end. So that's exactly what happened. Those couple of months, those following weeks were probably the darkest of times in my life. So dark to the point where fall semester, senior year, let the floodgates of feelings open. As you can imagine, all the sad feelings and anxious thoughts came flooding back. I mean, they were already there by that point, but it just exacerbated times a million times. It got so bad to the point where I developed an eating disorder. I would binge eat on junk food and then make myself throw up. Of course, wanting to look a certain way was a huge aspect of why I did that, but more so because I was so lonely, and because I isolated myself, and because I didn't tell anyone about what I was going through, not just the eating disorder, but like everything that I'm going through, I was so lonely and so alone to the point where this like activity of eating food and like making myself throw up, it became this little thing for me to do when I'm alone by myself, because there's nothing else for me to do, because I was just so sad and so hopeless and so lost. And this happened for all of fall semesters, like a couple of months where it was very, very, very out of hand. And this is, you know, I hope that through sharing this very personal part of my life, where I honestly I've only shared with a handful of people who know me, I hope it paints a picture of how not okay I was and how completely and utterly lost I was. So that happened for a few months until January 1st of 2014. Those clips where I was wearing a different shirt, that was filmed from last week as a continuation of last week's video, but because it went for too long, I cut it to be in this week's video, and so now I'm in this close. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. But the reason why I didn't tell anyone when I was going through what I was going through, I think it may be, I don't want to stereotype, but it might be an Asian thing where I don't like asking for help, and I don't want to burden other people with this knowledge of me going through this thing that they would have had no idea to do. Like, they wouldn't know what to do with it. They wouldn't know what to do with this information, because I didn't even know what to do with that information. And I think I knew deep down in my core that sooner or later it will be over, and once it is over, and once I start climbing out of the hole, I will start telling people about it, which is exactly what happened. But those months were just dark and cold and very lonely. I hope like I said earlier, that paints a really good picture of the state that I was in. So what got me out of this one? Well, I think a bunch of things had to have happened for me to really start pulling myself out of this sticky situation. On January 1st, 2014, I got in a really dumb argument with my boyfriend at the time. We never fight, we never get into these petty, stupid arguments, but that was the first one. And I think I just didn't want to deal with anything anymore. I didn't want to feel sad for myself anymore. I didn't want to feel the way that I was feeling. I didn't want to continue down this path that I've been on that was really not okay, not a pleasant place to be. So that day, January 1st of 2014, I sat my mom down and I was like, Mom, can I meditate with you? And the first thing she said was, are you okay? Because she knew. So to give a little context, growing up, I've been a pretty spiritual person, I think, because my mom was. I kind of just followed her footsteps. I kind of just followed her footsteps to do whatever she did. Back then, when I was born, she was vegetarian and she practiced some sort of I don't even really remember what she practiced, but I remember she did yoga. She did a lot of yoga, and they would do these, I was gonna say weird, but they would do these chants. They would dance around a room and do these things. So I grew up with that. And in 2002, my mom started practicing Falun Dafa. For those of you who don't know, and I think that's most of you guys, Falun Dafa is a Chinese spiritual practice centered around the tenets of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. It involves meditation to calm the mind, exercises which strengthen the body, as well as a set of teachings that cultivate the heart. So to me, it really is just teaching you how to be a good person. But when you're 12 or 13 or 11, you don't think about these things. You don't think about life. So growing up, although I would say that I tried to align a lot of my values with the values of Falun Dafa, I never fully wanted to do any of the things that my mom would make me do. It was more so to appease her and more so to, oh, I'm gonna do this thing so I can go out and play later. January 1st, 2014, went to my mom, I want to meditate with you. Right when I sat down, double-crossed my leg, closed my eyes, my mind went blank. And it was one of the most wonderful things to have happened in a long time, because before then my mind was just constantly racing, constant static, constant worry, constant anxiety about nothing. It really was about nothing. For me to experience that, for my mind to go completely blank, I was like, whoa, this is nice. I like this. I think this is what I should be doing. And shortly after, I started bawling. I don't know why, I don't know where it came from, but I cried for 5 minutes straight. Then all of a sudden, I got this overwhelming feeling from the bottom of my heart that I want to go home. With these moments of clarity, while I was meditating, I was like, yes, this is it. I know this is what I need to do. The moments of clarity come just as quickly as they go. So right after, I went back to the drinking, I went back to the distracting myself, but I would say something did start changing inside. And I think that was, I wanted to start getting better. When second semester resumed, oh my God. So when school started again, I deliberately stacked my schedule because I knew I can't be trusted being alone with my own thoughts. So Tuesdays and Thursdays stacked with classes, and on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 9 and 5 or 6, I was working at my internship, which at that time was at an advertising agency. For those of you who have seen the Uncle Drew Pepsi commercial with Kyrie Irving, that is agency. Ow. That was the agency that I was working at. If I could go back and think of what exactly got me out of that funk, it was a combination of things. And I think the most important thing was occupying my time with things where I will need to go out and be out. My internship and early classes forced me to wake up by 7 every morning so that I had to sleep early enough at night. And because after school or after work, I was only left with an hour or two of free time, I didn't want to spend those free time dwelling on things or being sad or being not okay or doing dumb things. I went to the gym, I cooked myself a nice dinner, I read, I unwinded, and then I went to bed. And I think by making myself do this from most of January till when I graduated in May, it really really helped me. Had I not done that, I don't know where I would be today. And during this time, of course, I still went out, still had fun with my friends, but all of the things that I did were a lot more intentional. Like, I went out to have fun, and I actually did have fun instead of going out to try to, because I was so sad and I would drink more to make myself less sad, but it just made me more sad. Now it was because I'm getting better. As I'm getting better, things just kind of started snowballing in a positive way. And so that would take me to graduation, which was in May of 2014. When I graduated college, looking around me, looking above me, speaking of my friends who graduated a year before me or 2 years before me, I saw how unhappy most of my friends were who graduated with these glamorous jobs of investment banking and consulting and accounting. They're making so much money, but every single one of them hated their lives. And while I didn't know what I want, I knew that's not what I want. With the encouragement of a handful of my friends who were like, Rowena, if I could go back and if I could redo the career path that I'm on, it would be to take time off after I graduate to try to figure out what I want and to travel before I start working, because once you start working, you're going to continue working for the rest of your life. And so that's what I did. I took 6 months off to really figure out what I wanted to do. I didn't want to sell my soul to corporates, and I still don't. I didn't want to work for a giant company that doesn't believe in something greater, that's not contributing positive things to the world. And I knew I wanted to help people in some capacity, and I knew that's gonna take a lot of work, but it was something that I was willing to do. So that will be next week's video, where I string together how I found my life purpose and how my personal, professional, and spiritual life collided into one. All right. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with me. I hope this sharing my journey has been beneficial in some way. Please let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.